an inner view with a rayon color.
Beautiful.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Suddenly, the pair release their hold on the branch and start to slide downwards on a rope of mucus. Now, mid-air, they move to the next stage of their hair. Each everts its male organ from just behind its head. These grow longer and longer. Then they too begin to entwine. They fan out to form a translucent, flower-like globe. At last, sperm passes from one slug to the other. Transfer is complete. Each has been fertilized.
Issues.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it wouldn't be a good operation if there wasn't some kind of technical glitch or some kind of thing falling over you, or.
No, what I thought was to cough. Right, there we go.
Cough in the mic.
Okay.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty nice to fall back in love with the van. You've helped with that, Ryan. You have.
This abode, my little abode for the night.
Soon to be abode, yeah.
It's just I mean, you know, it is a shell at the moment, and there are bits to it. But as I said to you before, this is going to become.
It will be the
ultimate
Slugmobile.
freedom.
It will be portable slime time, and I can travel around the UK at least and just slime random people. I think it would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I just need to get the key out of the ignition first. We won't talk about that, but I'll probably mention it numerous times.
Just that small issue that happened.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's just stuck. It's stuck.
It's just stuck. You know, I think it's a
Not
metaphor.
snapped off. Stuck.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of metaphors in my life. The slugs are a big metaphor. So I showed you the slugs last night, and
Well,
you hadn't seen them before.
never.
No.
Leopard slugs, yeah?
The leopard slugs, yeah. So I watched them when I was probably about 14 on David Attenborough Life in the Undergrowth. And then I hadn't really revisited them until I was round at my ex-girlfriend's. We were friends at the time, down in Portsmouth. And then we watched the video again. And it was like, oh my God, you know about it too? And I was like, okay, yeah, these guys are fucking cool. For those of you that haven't seen, it's a very beautiful spiral.
It's art.
It is.
Art
It's
in
alien jizz, essentially. Just sentient jizz forming around itself and glowing because they've got a blue kind of blood, like the horseshoe crabs.
Yeah,
we
horseshoe
were
crabs,
looking at
yeah.
last night, yeah.
Had a bit of a nature chest, didn't we?
Always. And the slugs kind of summed up a lot of how I sort of felt about my sexuality, my gender identity, but didn't have the words for it really at the time. So I never really thought, oh, I'm gay, or I'm straight, or I'm whatever. It's just I like whoever I like. I get brain crushes, you know, or like it's if you like someone, then it's whatever, you know, whoever they are becomes this like, you know, oh my God, fascination of everything, you know, their skin, their being, their thing. And I don't feel like that determines how I feel about them. That's part of them. Do you know what I mean?
Because they're hermaphrodites, aren't they? They can have both organs. Is that right?
Yeah. The slugs. Yeah. So
Not you.
yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm more of a slug than a human. I feel pretty fluid in my gender. I don't really. I mean, I guess I know. So they started just kind of being this kind of thing that I kept going back to, and then I sort of years later I got a bit frustrated because I was working in a veterinary clinic. I was living in this warehouse in Seven Sisters, surrounded by loads of, you know, really creative people. It was really fun, really chaotic, great. It was like living in an Italian soap opera. So it was run by a couple of Italians.
Okay.
And so a lot of the time, wouldn't know what was going on. Very heated, very heated drama. And it was quite good because I didn't speak Italian.
Right.
Which was shit. Like, could have, you know, I did try and learn, but then the people there were trying to learn English, so it didn't quite happen. But it kind of kept us out of the middle point of the fire. You know, we just got on really well with pretty much. You know, I had great times there. Met my friend Matt, who was very important to me because he kind of. Yeah, I realised that I was talking about myself, and you know, I work in Spain, and it was great. But I was like, I'm not talking about me. Like, I've been making art forever, and here I'm not doing that, and I'm really frustrated with it, and it would get me really, really bitter, really shit. Just like, oh, I want to make stuff.
I feel like when if you're not following your true passion, if you're not following something that you find that's creative, that's engulfing, that's really you, then those kind of avenues naturally come in: the bitterness, the anger, the frustration.
Yeah, and the thing is, I did a art foundation in Camberwell, and I was amongst a kind of quite a bad drug addiction at that time with a boyfriend, and kind of very codependent, that word there. And so I'd kind of was trying to do this thing to like change learn more things, kind of be like, hey, no, I need more, structure. I'm done with art. I'm disillusioned. And then, and then I was just kind of like, this isn't, as much as I love working with the animals, veterinary is really sad as well. I was too emotionally.
You were saying last night it was just like death after death.
Yeah, I mean, there were obviously really good stories. Like I rehomed this rabbit who hated me, Charlie. I took him home for Christmas to my dad's, no, it's my auntie's in Essex. And I had to try and stop him getting eaten by the lurcher. And Charlie, we took him on the train.
Sounds like a fun Christmas.
Oh, he had his own room. He was living he was under the Christmas tree, having a great time. He had this neurological parasite, and his owner wanted to save him, but then his other owner was like, no, put him down, don't want to spend all this money on him. They lived on Hampstead Heath. In one of those massive houses that looked over the pond, and I think they had their own pet room.
Holy wow!
Like a menagerie room, but no room for Charlie at the inn, So I finally rehomed Charlie with this found this couple who really liked him, so that was cool. I've gone off onto a tangent there. Where was I going?
This is where it goes. We press play, we go on tangents, and eventually we find our way.
Eventually, yeah. I mean,
you're talking about Matt, you're talking about veterinary, you're talking about finding a passion.
Yeah, so the animal aspect has always been there.
Yeah.
Because I was like, animals are, and that's definitely still there because I'm looking at the sort of I'm interested in the science behind the animals as well. Mating rituals are my thing.
Oh, really?
There's they're just so great. There's so many.
Well, honestly, that video you showed me last night of those two slugs, it was honestly art. I mean, the way they kind of trapeze down the twig, and then the penis come out.
It's not the twig. That's their mucus. They made the branch.
From the branch, yeah. But the mucus hung them down, and then the penis come out the head, and then they were merging penises together. It was really magical.
I just love fluids as well. I love squishy, fluidy things. I mean, my mating ritual, it's tops. I can't even finish that sentence. And so then kind of what happened was I got a portfolio together and was like, no, fuck it, I'm gonna get back into art. I'm gonna do this. At this point, I was like, oh my god, I'm too old. I'm like 23. I'm like, I'm 30 now. Bloody hell. And I got together, and then I think I applied for Wimbledon, Bristol. I can't remember the last one. And Brighton, I think. And then I got an interview at Bristol, and I got into Bristol, and I went down to Bristol, and I was like, wow, there's so many of my friends moving to Bristol. I was like, oh, this is why.
This is the place.
And then I got into Bristol, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to bother with the other interviews. I really like it here. And in hindsight, I shouldn't have chosen something as vague as fine art because I'm vague enough as it is, and I needed direction.
I needed structure. I needed a box.
And also, I kind of realised if you had done something like film or whatever, you can still do what the hell you want. You're just getting a more focus. And to be honest, the fine art course there, it's what you make of it, really. And yeah, I feel like
that just of my opinion of fine art, that sentence sums it up. It is what you make of it, because you can actually have anything as long as you have a meaning behind it or something. Then it's art. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean my whole life turns into the project. So when I've got I don't really look for the project. The project comes, which sounds so wonky when I'm saying it out loud, but you know what I mean. Like, so I got really into I love teal. I love the colour of copper outside. Yeah. Really fascinated. Why does this colour fascinate me? Why does it make me happy? Like, why am I always... I got a bit agoraphobic one summer and couldn't really leave the house. And then just found these copper pans in the shop that had these most beautiful... beautiful like kind of lunar landscapes on them from the oxidization, and then it was like, I just kept finding, I'll show you them later.
Yes, please.
But they're just kind of all these little pickets of things kind of interweaving and kind of, so no, I loved it. I was totally engrossed, and to have that time to just delve into these projects. But I was annoyed at myself because I'd gone there being like, right, I want to learn fabrication skills, I want to have these skills that I can then go and use elsewhere after probably going into like prop design or something like that.
Okay.
So I just like making things. And then I got distracted by slugs and performance and interactive performance. And
thing is, though, you see, you just going back to what you said before. You like seem to have found your thing with regards to like art and nature. You like the leopard slug thing seems to kind of.
I mean, it's
encapsulate both things. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And the thing was, I had this need. I wanted to sort of. I'd go to performances and be like, oh God, I want to do that, but also I don't like this whole pedestal of performances where you're like watching and you feel like the inability to do it, or it's kind of like, you know, I think art should be everyone, you know, everyone's got a creative side to them. And
you know what you said before about the project finding you. I was just the other day talking to a friend who said that there was this book, and it was basically this guy who travelled, but he so rather than him trying to imprint his ideas on what travel was and what he wanted to do, he was just going to let things come to him and just let them come their way. So I think it's not a wanky way of putting it. It's just a different way of
sort of.
Serendipity. That's it. Yeah.
I went to careers advice twice when I was at uni, and they told me serendipity was working for me, and I was like, okay, but I do need more. That's great.
Is there a serendipity course I can do?
I mean, if so, like, you know, it's I do feel like the more magic stuff that kind of happens, it kind of builds up, and then I've had a bit of a drought for a while, but like it comes back in sort of waves.
How does slug time actually work then? What do you slime time? Sorry. How does it work? Slime time.
Okay. I'll go back a bit to the beginning.
All right.
So when I revisited it in one of the first projects at uni, and I was just like, I want to make their penises. I want to make the same material as their penises. And this was before like slime got really big, and I found this kind of like strange website. Not strange website. That's totally unnecessary adjective there. I found this website that was called like Fun at Home with the Kids. So it was like these mums got together and kind of compiled good ways to make slime from household products. So there was this laundry detergent Audi, which no longer exists. I have like the remnants and like last few bottles, and it glows in the UV like naturally, not unnaturally, chemical kind of thing. But you need like borax and stuff, and that's kind of more easily obtainable in the US. And now there's all like packs, but to be honest, I tried packing, it didn't really work. Anyway, so I, you know, going back as well, like 90s kid, get your own back, goosebumps.
Oh, get Dave Benson Phillips.
Slime and Fungus the Bogeyman.
Yeah.
Like they're all I like gross shit, and I think because I've had a lot of, I'm interested in the kind of, you know, beauty versus the abject versus, you know, like kind of finding beautiful things in the gross things, and I think like accept it. Like I've had a big like I've you know, my relationship with my body, I've always kind of really hated my body hair, and it took me until I was like 24 to grow out my eyebrow again, because I just got so bullied for it at school. I was like, and then I was like, fuck this, I can't do this anymore.
At Hampstead, you got bullied for it?
Really? Many Marco. Anyway.
That's an old wound. Just put that one back. There we go.
But I think just like, it's that kind of repulsion you have against yourself, and you kind of like, I've a lot of yeah.
It's hard when like society or institution has this idea of what a person should be, what a kid should be. You shouldn't have an eyebrow, you shouldn't wear funky colours, you shouldn't do that. It just almost makes you want to kind of just rebel further against it.
Yeah, and I was all for that in like the clothes sense. Like, I mean, I'm so glad we never had uniform, because how would I have got to this point in my in my style?
No, but it's true though. It was like people. I mean, I didn't know at the time, but you know, because I just thought, oh great, you can just wear your own clothes. That's great. But it was more you could actually express who you were, and you could be who you were, and you weren't just that, you know, toy Lego figure in the uniform in the which came later on in school. But
when did the uniform? I think that came in sixth form, and I was in sixth form.
Yeah, so we were. I think we were the last year or the second last year.
You were a year below me, weren't you?
Yeah.
So, let's skip that. So then I found made this slime stuff, and I was like, oh, wicked. Kind of mimicked it in like video format, kind of like twisting it around, and it had the same kind of qualities that the penises do, with like kind of, obviously it didn't interweave around itself, but it had this like kind of autonomous movement to it. And And I was like, God, this is so anxiety reducing. And just the kind of touching it and all of that. And then I was like, right, started getting involved with, I think it's a group called Dada for Girls, and then we were doing little snippets of performances together. And I was bricking myself, like, but also really wanted to do it. So it was this kind of, I've got this weird exhibitionist in me, but also really, really anxious at that point. Yeah. But then because I had the slime, and it was all about the slugs, and I had the projections, and I was kind of working with some really cool people, it was like, this is great. Like, I can sort of remove myself from this, and then I get the thrill and the sort of buzz from it, and learning about. I was doing some learning, like with the video and like learning Premiere and editing and stuff, but I'm very low tech, and I like low tech. Same. I like it when things aren't. I don't care about the 4K highlight stuff. I like it. I've got this old video camera.
Nokia 3310, as I was saying before.
Yeah, and like I've got this this old video camera. It's really glitchy. I just love it. Love it. You get So, but I still wanted to learn things. But I think my brain just goes into a bit of like, overload sometimes, and then I'll get really obsessed in it. I'm like, editing for ages. But so then it was kind of, I did a few of these performances, and then I did it at like an art exhibition that we put on as like a uni fundraiser thing. It was kind of located by the toilets. Seems to be a common theme. The trash bag that I am. So located by the toilets, and it was kind of like on the way, so we had people queuing, and we were sort of like had projections on, had slime, and you have to be like, it gets stuck on clothes. There's no way about it. It does wash off if you soak it. I've still got clothes that have got just like
remnants
globules. As much as I'm like, it's fine, it'll come off your thing in the middle of this festival where you're not going to wash for like 5 days. But it kind of crusts off your hair. I have a problem with gets in the pubes quite a lot, in the armpits, but then you just sweat it off. It's fine.
Oh, handy.
Yeah,
you
just
have
go
to like
for a
give
dance.
it a yank and just like that.
I mean, it's quite sad. I like picking things, so I will so I'll have like a few. Usually in the summer, there's just a few slime dreads, that will not go, that are there for a while.
Just watching TV and just naturally just.
It's my tendrils at the side actually that get it the worst. But
what are they called?
Tendrils.
Tendrils.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know, it's my name for them.
Oh right, okay. Yeah. That was the Oxford Dictionary definition.
So basically how it works, how it's kind of evolved. It went from like sort of room, sort of open space, to then I applied for it. My girlfriend at the time knew her friends ran like the Nutty Games at Boomtown, so we're like, oh cool, let's try and do it there. But it needed darkness, UV light, shelter. It's kind of the opposite of what the Nutty Games are kind of like, outside and sort of big sort of, I don't know, just more kind of activity based. So it's kind of put as slug wrestling at the beginning, and we had this really makeshift, basically again, next to the toilets.
There is a common theme.
There is a common theme. And we kind of like dug into the back wall of Boomtown.
Quite smart though, because you're gonna get traffic.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's true. And then it would be like 2 or 3 people at a time or something, and then I'd give the whole spiel about the slugs because I'm slug crazy and just talk about it for ages. And it did what it connected people, and all of the kind of trails of the slime, like you're physically getting someone stuck to you or to each other.
So the slugs go on the people. That's part of the.
Not the slugs, no, the slime.
The slime.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry,
right.
I don't know if I'm explaining. I should have shown you a thing before this. So you're the slug. You're in. You are the slug when you're going into the space, and then when you with the kind of interacting with the slime and with each other. Like the old slime that I had was really cool. If you put it on your belly and it did a big hug, you'd be left with this kind of really cool stomach trail, or like you kind of put it between your legs and stretch out. So like I haven't mentioned here my friend Holly Hotlips, who was like a really pivotal moment in all of this, because I was working in a set shop in Bristol. And then we were working together. We both thought each other really cool, and we were too cool to speak to each other. We got really good friends basically, and we had this walk home, and just like Holly was telling me about her pole, and she's a pole dancer, and I was just like, I have found found my leopard slug, my spinning spirally leopard slug. So we then did the second year of Boomtown together. I think that was, it's all kind of blurred a bit now. I think this would have been the 5th year. But yeah, so it's mainly.
So if I come to you at Slime Time, and what happens when I come into you at Slime Time?
So you're usually in a group of friends or people that you don't know. That actually works out really nice when it's kind of 2 different groups or something. Depending on sort of whether it's at Boomtown, it's kind of more following the theatrical narrative there, or when it's kind of outside, and I've done it in kind of different club nights. I will talk about the slugs and kind of how they're a metaphor to me for kind of pansexual sexuality, and kind of not liking people for their kind of soul rather than their skin, and just kind of having connection with people in a kind of time where, especially now, people are not really connected, just sort of looking at your phones, and there's not enough kind of
especially
touch. Obviously it's like consensual touch, but it's play essentially, and it's going back to being a kid. And I think that's like a really important part of it. And then you lose, like what I found happened with me is you lose your kind of inhibitions, and just kind of, I feel so gross and whatever. And like one of the most significant groups, there was a person that came in, and she didn't really, I don't know if I want to be in my underwear. And then by then she was just like, oh my God, I don't even get in my underwear in front of my family. I felt really comfortable here.
Liberating. Wow.
And so you basically, at the Boomtown one, you kind of lead them through a story, and you tell them about the slugs, but how it relates to the sort of overarching Boomtown storyline. But then you basically give them the slime, and people kind of naturally interact with it. And there's been some great times where people have been outside, because it's like quite small groups, and trying to get them in, and they're waiting, and then selling slug life to park life, which is just quality. Absolute quality. But
I got up when I went on Wednesdays, except when I get rudely awake and buy the dustman. Slug life. I like that. Yeah.
It's amazing. But yeah, so it's quite intimate. You'll have like say 3 or 4 slug crew kind of facilitating it, because you have got to do the warnings of like, the slime's gonna get stuck in you, like no eating the slime, or especially when you've got people tripping balls and like, why, trying to ingest it or whatever. But it's just usually it's really cool. Like, it
is quite, you said something before about it being anxiety reducing, and when I used to work with special needs kids, the moment we got a bit of cornstarch in a bit of water, it was that same kind of thing, that same kind, and it literally just kind
it's
of
hypnotizing.
It really is.
Yeah.
The texture, the feel, the touch, it is quite therapeutic.
Yeah, for sure. And especially for like a lot of the slug crew, like we've all got our awkwardness, and we've all got a thing, but when we're in that environment, it's really bonding. We've been through some times together, like Saf, so kind of have like me, Holly, Saf, Charlie as the kind of like we've kind of been doing it like the longest, and then we have kind of different people sort of on rotation. Don't get me wrong, like Boomtown can get so hectic. I mean, it's a festival, so there's a lot. Do you do
festivals and other places as well, or is it just festivals? Or
well, I was going to do Bolter this year.
What's Bolter?
Bolter is in like Chepstow Racecourse. Like, okay. It's great. It's like a little sort of biggish rave in the middle of a racecourse, and it's really good music. So like I think Aequorea runs it, and it's wicked. I've been a few times. I was going to do it in this van and have the van all ready, but that didn't happen. And actually, I wouldn't have got it ready considering all the stuff I had to do to it. Next year, hopefully, or it might be happening. I'm not too sure. But yeah, so no, I just kind of focus on Boomtown. To be honest, like working full time, it's a lot to fit in between that point. So usually at this point this year, I'd be just like, every single second, getting everything ready. So it's been quite a
yeah.
nice...
How have you managed to? Because obviously you have you adapted it for, because obviously with COVID and all that sort of stuff. How are you envisaging that to go forward? With regards?
It's interesting, yeah. So what's also quite funny is actually the costumes and everything, the storyline with Boomtown is there's a lot of masks involved anyway, and it's a kind of post-apocalyptic world anyway. So it's almost like it's become true. But yeah, I'm doing, with the help of Jess and Charlie and some other people, we're putting together Slugly, hopefully in October, and that's going to be an exhibition at the island with kind of other people's, not just Slime Time, but other. It's kind of going to be like an anti-fashion slug. It's too many words. An anti-fashion show. No. That's what I'm gonna do.
That sounded fab. When we spoke at Rockaway Park, that sounded fantastic. Yeah.
So I just want to have a platform where people can be selling all this. I know some amazingly talented people in Bristol that I want their artwork to have, somewhere they can sell it, and just be exhibited. And then a few. With Piffy and Seacat, we're going to have like a little sort of mini anti-fashion show on this sort of slug trail crawl thing. It's just quite hard to plan now with COVID, but I think it's going to be okay because I figure the kind of slug interaction can happen between PVC.
Okay.
You can still have that contact, but not actual physical contact.
Yeah.
And there can still be things that you can do kind of that are visually beautiful with the slime, with projections. And I think a lot of people with their clothes anyway, they've got masks involved. We're just going to have to have less capacity and waiting to know what that capacity is, and then have things kind of marked out and have everyone sat down to watch it, and then kind of have it all just quite ordered. In a way, it's quite good. It's given me more parameters, and hopefully means, I think Jess is going to help stage manage, and she's just, she's quality. She can, she's going to do some stand-up sort of to open it, and
sounds like a proper event. Sounds like a real...
I'm the only thing I'm freaking out because it's actually really soon and I haven't got capacity yet, but it will happen. I love a deadline. I work better when there's a short amount of time. When there's loads of time, I'm like, la 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 la. I love the panic.
Time in the world.
So yeah, did that answer that question? I don't know.
That did indeed, absolutely, yeah, that did. Talk more about the Anti-Fashion Week then. Talk more about what that is. That sounds really fascinating.
Well, I've always wanted to. I've started making harnesses, and my dad used to work for Aequorea Victoria, and I've always liked sort of lingerie. Aequorea Victoria, which are like a sort of old sort of fetish lingerie sort of company. And I like, as I said before, I like sort of shiny, plasticky things. Plastic isn't very good, but I get a load of old plastic that isn't, it's been chucked out in the scrap store. Found so much PVC, but I just really like the feeling of sort of pressure with latex and that you get this kind of encasement, like a cocoon. So I'm interested about that. But yeah, just kind of having something that's not made from recycled materials. My friend Charlie, who her label is a Seacat, she does loads of patches, and she paints with her patches. You wouldn't, when you first look at them, you don't kind of see the embroidery threads. They just look like brushstrokes. They're really incredible, and she and they're really good for not just a kind of visual aspects on their own, but this idea of mending your clothes, replacing holes, not just buying new clothes all the time. I've had clothes for 20 years, and I think the problem with fashion is that it's so fast, and same with Bee's Knees Apparel, who I think hopefully she's doing some stuff. She I like upcycles loads of stuff. And I think it's that scavenger in all of us, I think, and I think there's so much fun in finding, like, so much more fun in finding stuff than there is buying stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
But then when you get like secondhand places, then you feel like you found it because you've had to rummage through a bin and, you know, get the £1 teal snake print jeans that you. But
someone made a very interesting point, like recently, saying that, you know, so my friend Laura grew up in the 80s through London. And she said that, like, you could go into a vintage shop or a charity shop back in the 80s and you get this, you know, beautiful denim jacket, like, for like a couple of quid or whatever. And she said that you go in now and it's all Primark, it's all Atmosphere, it's all this, like, just cheap crap. Really.
Yeah.
It's just not great, you know?
And it's like my dad, he's really into mending and darning, and like
I got myself a mushroom darn recently.
Yeah,
really cool.
I haven't really done it too much. I just kind of let the holes happen. But
there's a nice patch on the thing I slept on last night. That was a beautiful patch.
Oh yeah, that's my friend Lisa's sleeping bag. Yeah, Lisa was one of the original slugs. Actually, she came in the first year, and we did a performance at the Cube together, which was totally way out of our comfort zones, both of us, and that's what made it even more beautiful. And we had the kind of like these glass vase sort of vessels with the slime in it, and then would kind of decant it onto us and did this kind of spiral. But she did ballet, so she's a lot more graceful than I am. I'm like a elephant. I get so terrified of moving. I can only really move to jungle or hard tech. That's it. And if anywhere
small
in between,
steps. Small 2-step, hard 2-step.
anywhere in between, I feel like an absolute tit. But that's you know that's what the slugs are about, man.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I don't know if I've made any sense with this, because I feel like I should have projected some kind of visual of what the hell I'm talking about.
We can put it in before it goes out. We can do some kind of like.
Oh yeah, a bit of editing. Yeah.
Oh no, more technical. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. We can do something like that. We can do something.
Yeah, God, it's so like I find things like self-promotion and kind of putting stuff out there so hard. Like I'll have moments of like, yeah, cool, get this info, and then I just have the shame, like, oh, but no one wants to see this, we do it, and then you know,
it's
then you,
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, then you get like, you know, you get someone liking it, and you're like, oh my god, it's amazing. It's like drugs all the time. It's like searching for that sort of high, and I don't. It fills me with yeah, I don't really like it, and I like it at the same time. Like, I need a PR person, basically. If I made any money from this, I would put it in PR.
I was saying something the other day that doing the podcast and doing the intro for the podcast and setting the camera up to look at myself and to press play and to count myself, it's very weird.
Yeah.
And that is self-promotion in itself. But yeah, I don't know. I find it quite odd. But I've got to be comfortable in the uncomfortableness, I think.
We also just need to remember, like, our perception of ourselves is totally different to other people.
Warped, isn't it? Absolutely.
Like, it's very bizarre.
Unfortunately so. It's quite warped.
Yeah. But no, it's funny. But yeah, so the anti-fashion kind of thing is like, the kind of slowing it down, being a slug, not kind of ingesting everything. So I mean, they do ingest very quickly. Actually, that was a bad analogy. They've got loads of teeth. And they can devour all my marigolds. So I started gardening, as I told you yesterday. I was meant to show you the strange courgette that looks like the goat udder. I'll bring it in.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
that'd be great. You have started gardening, haven't you? You started gardening during COVID.
And my friend Evie, who is the source of my gardening, was like, I hate to tell you this, but you've got to get rid of the slugs. And I was like, no.
This goes against all the morals.
And so I was really good at the beginning, and I would remove the slugs by hand, join this RHS survey to look for the green and yellow cellar slug, which I think the green cellar slug is kind of taking over the yellow cellar slug, and then they all kind of look like the leopard slug, but they're more fluorescent. So I'm like, I don't know if I've mentioned the fact that I like anything that glows. So UV is like I want to be in UV land all the time, and that does happen. By the end of the summer, I'm like.
And the anglerfish that had the UV head.
The bioluminescent stuff. So naturally occurring. Naturally occurring and non-naturally occurring. But you just think about the ways that different animals see things as well. It must be so, like, because a lot of flowers, we have no idea what they actually look like. If you put like UV on them or infrared or something, the patterns are completely different.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What was that?
Anti-fashion slugs, the green and yellow slugs.
The gardening. So they're removing them all by hand, and every time I go out, and there was these massive leopard slug orgies. So leopard slugs are actually really good for the garden because they eat the decomposing material.
Okay.
So I wasn't too bothered about moving them, but they did break my heart sometimes, and they stopped kind of coming as much, and I was like, oh, it's because they've listened to me. I don't have to use any kind of beer traps or killing them with pellets.
I talk to them. They feel.
They feel.
Know
they know not to come right now. And then I put some marigolds out too early, and they devoured them, and I nearly cried. And now I've got them. Did you see them in the bathroom coming out? The marigolds.
Which ones are they?
The orangey ones.
Where
on
are
the windowsill.
I saw there's an amazing I don't know what it's called, but it's a big kind of
the cheese plant.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cheese plant.
I'll have a look.
Yeah, but yeah, I never thought I'd really get into plants. We were saying we just want to go and grow. I feel like I can go and grow stuff now, especially we're gonna have to,
Yeah, it's gonna come.
The
apocalypse will come, and you're gonna need to have a bit of land somewhere with grown food. It's gonna happen. That's what I've set in mind anyway.
Yeah, I just feel like courgettes are really easy, and I just probably will end up living off courgettes for the rest of my life. But
just spiralise the shit out of them.
Yeah. Apparently the flowers. I haven't got to the flowers yet because I keep getting eaten by the slugs. Every morning there's at least 2 slugs just in the flowers.
Breakfast.
But apparently they're delicious.
Oh, really?
And if you kind of get them with the still the courgette's still quite small and the flower is quite big, and you can put cheese inside the courgette flower.
Oh my god!
And bake it.
What's your favourite cheese? What's your favourite cheese?
Oh, what's my favourite cheese? That's a serious question.
It's a serious one.
Oh, there's so many different types of different mood though.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably a bit plain in my cheese. I like
standard
halloumi.
Cheddar. A
Halloumi, mozzarella, cheddar.
The classics, isn't it? They're solid,
apple
stable.
with cheddar.
The smoked stuff.
Oh, God, so good.
Mm.
Yeah. But I'm not a fan of blue cheese.
Quite
freaks
strong,
me
eh?
out. I like the colour, but it freaks me out.
I like a little bit. And then after a while I get a bit, it really attacks my senses, so I get a bit, that can.
I like it
stay
in
the
a
fridge
kind
now.
of creamy pasta thing.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
But then often that goes with mushrooms, and I hate mushrooms.
Oh, I found out last night. Yeah, you're tuning away to Chinese, and then sort of sudden you're.
Yeah, it's because they're too like
Mushroom.
slugs.
I can't eat a slug.
I didn't eat aubergines for ages because they were. Didn't really like
There is a similar thing with aubergines and mushrooms in texture, isn't there? There's
And then one day I was like, no, I like the aubergine, but the mushrooms still not there. Magic.
I don't get snail people eat snails. That to me is like what bogey. Why do you want to eat a bogey?
Yeah.
Slimy bogey.
Yeah.
And
I've never
thing.
tried. No.
Not great.
I mean, I quite like the there is the kind of I love hermit. Do you know hermit crabs?
Yes, I do actually.
Oh, they're just so adorable.
They're cute.
Me and my ex were in this beach in India. I don't know where it was, but the whole not floor, like the beach, the sand.
Wow.
It was just all hermit crabs.
Wow.
Like the whole thing. There's tiny little ones. Yeah, they're really cool.
What was that thing that we watched last night as well? The
axolotl.
The axolotl.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're so cute. They've got the biggest.
Is it AXO? Or L?
Axolotl. So their end is like TL or something. There's not that many vowels.
or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I got introduced them from my ex's friend had one called Butters, I think. And then my another friend, his friends.
These names of these,
I
they're
know.
great.
But yeah, they're super cute.
What were your give it reel off some of the rats, the pairs of rats that you've had names.
Yeah. Lolly and Pop, they were the first. This
is England.
Lollipop, Sweet and Tooth, named after Sweet Tooth, the graphic artist, because amazing. And then Sweet and Tooth, Lollipop. Brody and Badger, that's the only time we didn't follow the kind of name thing, but Brody is after Brody Dow because she's just so beautiful, both of them. And Badger, because Badger looked like a badger when we first got her, and then she just turned white. It's completely white. So then we just looked like absolute tits for calling her a badger. She looked nothing like a badger. She had definitely personality of a badger though.
Yeah.
And then adopted Patty and Selma. So I can't take name and credit for them.
Okay.
But yeah.
You can just offer it out.
And then my last one was Mushka. Or long name Moonbushka, but shortened to Mushka. So yeah.
When did your love for rats start?
Millie got them for me when I was into, I don't know, 2014? No, it must have been 2012. Or at some point in the warehouse. Yeah, so we had like, so the warehouse we used to live in was an old pencil factory. So like the beams and just the whole structure of it was really cool. And we eventually went in like the biggest room next to the kitchen. And and just had the rats, and they were so cute. I think the first time I sort of had them out, this big fluffy jumper, and I got really stoned, fell asleep, and they just fell asleep on my chest, and I woke up and they were just cuddled in there, and I was like, God, I love you so much. And they just got the best personalities.
Yeah, you were saying this yesterday, weren't you?
Yeah. Anyone I meet who's got rats is just rat mad.
Okay.
Rat mad, yeah. I like their tails. Obviously, people get kind of freaked out by the tails, but that's why I've got tails around my neck.
I like them.
They're quite comforting. They're like a fifth leg. They're really good for balancing and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're saying they've got certain personalities, haven't they? You said some are really kind of.
Yeah, like Patty would literally, if ever Selma was trying to eat the food, she'd just like shove her away, and then she'd come and like lick your face. You kind of feel like, oh yeah, this is really sweet and affectionate, but you're probably just trying to steal my salt from my skin. And you just kind of like burrow into your lip.
Just want to borrow that. Just put my chips. That's all right.
But my favourite is just like I just walk around with them in my jumper, and they kind of nestle at the back or just in the hood rats in the hood all the time, and and then people wouldn't know that you had them, and then suddenly just like one comes out like
shock factor. Whoa.
I did Mushka was the youngest and the last one that I had, and had the cage in the bathroom for a while, and she kept escaping, I think just because she was so young and slim and kind of agile, and she kind of got through the bars. So I really don't know how she got out. She's like Houdini. And I tried so many, tied so many things, and then she ended up.
Octopus. Have you seen octopuses get through little holes?
Yeah,
because they've got no like backbone or vertebrae.
No, yeah,
they can get through
maybe Mushka was actually an octopus,
not a badger.
And she, I think 2 or 3 times, my old housemate's girlfriend was staying, and she woke up and Mushka was on her face. And it happened with Imogen, I think, as well.
That's great.
And credit to them, they didn't scream and squish her. Like that could have been a lot of people's reactions.
Yeah.
So that's really nice.
Good to know you got friends that in dire circumstances of rats on your face, they're just calm and collected.
Yeah, because I think I'd leave them out in the room, and then they'd sort of wake me up to go back to bed, or just take themselves back to bed.
That's sweet.
It's super sweet. But Badger would go on a little sort of routine run. At first I was like, oh my God, I've lost them, and all of you've seen all the stuff I have in my room. Yeah. Too much stuff. And then
it's like a nest.
Me and my ex, it is a nest. It's a rat. I live in I'm a rat and a slug hybrid. Or just like in Rick and Morty, where, oh God, where he like he's Pickle Rick, and then he like goes onto the rat body and then becomes that whole like kind of. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've not seen Rick and Morty.
Oh God, right.
I'm not a cartoon,
God, how do I? That's you should just definitely watch Rick and Morty. I know you don't like the cartoons, but you should definitely watch Rick and Morty. Anyway, I can't remember what I was saying. Now it's gone.
Slugs, Mushka.
The room. Oh yeah, so Badger would eventually realise that she would kind of get down from my bed scurry across the floor, go up the wardrobe, and then just sit in the food bag and just eat all the food. So eventually just hear her like rustling around.
There you
go. What is your spirit? What do you think your spirit animal is?
I was going to sound really bland and boring, but a dog.
There's nothing bland and boring about dogs.
I just really connect with dogs. Maybe it's because I've grown up with dogs. Maybe it's because I've just, kind of. But I do like the octopus's kind of fluidity and it's kind of just its stealthiness and it's very.
And they're aliens,
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
Cuttlefish are cool.
Cuttlefish are cool. Yeah.
They like when they're sort of asleep and dreaming. They're like they have like a light show going on in their
yeah,
bodies.
right.
Yeah, I would love to be able to change colour.
Wouldn't that be
think
great?
That's. I mean, I do it with clothes, but it's not the same.
You try.
Actually, I don't because I kind of just wear purple or green. But I would love to have a sort of not digital face, but just like, the ability
switch
to.
You could press, just be like,
green
now.
Yeah.
Are we red now?
Yeah. Different. I'd like it to be multiple colours. I think. Yeah. I think it just quite. I had this project that I applied for funding, but that's the thing about art. You apply for a lot of things and there's a lot of rejections and you think, I've got used to this now. I've got a lot of, got acceptance, got stuff, like really cool shit's happened. Sometimes the rejections can get a bit too much, and you're like, I've taken a bit of a break. I had this like applying for loads and loads of things and then there was just like, we've had 64 people applying to this and only 4 people have got it or 2 people have got it, unfortunately you haven't got it, and it's like, okay, cool.
It does seem like quite small margins.
And but you just got to keep swimming, really. There will be someone who loves you for the weirdo that you are, you know. But applications for them, God, my brain, I can't remember.
Okay, so art applications, rejection.
Oh yeah, the octopus thing. Yeah. So I wanted to do this.
We're doing well, then on track.
I wanted to do this kind of how there's an octopus on a David Attenborough thing. David, I keep meaning to write to David. Like, David, you've literally made my life for the last 6 years, and the Leopard Slugs
it's going to be I don't even want to hint or say about it, but when it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, I do. I know what you're saying. We all know what you're saying.
He's 91. He's going to go on forever, surely. He's got that blood that needs to just last.
We just need to horseshoe crab blood. He wouldn't agree with that, though.
He wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. But that wouldn't that be the ultimate dilemma if it was found out that horseshoe crab blood can make you live longer, and then it'd be like, oh my God, Dave. I
mean, what are they?
Would you take it, Dave?
450 million years old?
That is mad.
Yeah.
450. Again, that my brain still can't compute that.
They overcame the dinosaurs, and now we're just harvesting them out of, hopefully not to extinction. It's mean, though. It's mean.
But they're just. I was blown away by that. Yeah, well, horseshoe crabs. Check them out. They're amazing. My
dad's phobia. Octopus, yeah. So, and there's this like octopus that covers itself in shells, to sort of hide itself. And I was like, oh, that's like me in my shell suits. Like, I just like, I dress up to kind of like, it makes me feel better about, about myself. Or if I'm not feeling very confident, then I'm like, if I wear that, that feels good.
Get my shell suit on.
Put my shell suit on. And so I was thinking, I'd like to make this kind of octopus costume, which I have half of, but it's a bit old now. And then kind of have a performance where you're picking up sort of different objects of the shells to kind of cover over and then sort of reveal a sort of shell suit at the end. And then it was like, oh, well, I'd actually really like to get into sort of more tech side of it and have it so that the skin or like the kind of surface that you're wearing is color reflective of your mood, and that it would pick up on kind of anxiety levels or I guess like heart rate or in response to the body, and then turn a different color. I was saying with colors that I feel like soothe me, or like different colors soothe different people, and like sensory kind of rooms and like lighting and stuff, and how that could then calm you down, but also be an indicator for, say, people that are non-verbal, an indicator of like their emotion, and then how to kind of interact with that if there were things that weren't kind of. So eventually I'd like to do that somehow, but I just need to find some funding for it.
Yeah, please do. Keep applying. Don't stop.
And
if anyone's listening that has loads of money, just contact her. Come on.
Just want to make an octopus reactive century blah blah suit kind of thing. But yeah, I think it's quite good. Like, especially people. I do feel like lighting, and because like sensory rooms. If you've worked with kids with autism and stuff, like sensory rooms are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I want to go into one of those pods, the desensitization.
Oh,
tanks?
I've been in one.
Have
a
you?
flotation tank. Yeah.
What was it like?
It was an amazingly different, all immersive experience. It was quite interesting actually. Because I went into one. And I said, what's the sensory deprivation tank? And she was like, I don't really like when it's deprivation, because it's not deprivation, it's more enhancement.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then when I went in, it was so strange because you don't see difference from your eyes. Like when you open your eyes, it's black. When you close your eyes, it's black. And then you can hear your heartbeat so like loud and so. And it was probably the first time that I'd really been in tune with my body and in tune with what was going on, because I could like hear, just everything that was going on, and it really brought you into your body and into your kind of moment, and it was quite something.
Yeah. How long were you in there for?
I was in there for an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd really like to try it.
Yeah, I'd recommend it.
So what you're saying about the heart rate thing, like that kind of like, when you're trying to sleep, and then you're like, oh, you can just hear everything, but you're like, no, I'm trying to sleep, and then you can't sleep, and the more you can't sleep, then the more you're kind of like, hearing your breathing or heart rate. So that kind of stresses me out. But I think, if you're in that sort of, I think just the weightlessness is what I'd really like as well.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah. The fact at the start I was very worried about like sinking, but then it's like obviously it's magnesium salt that's in the thing, so you just won't sink. But just that ability to actually let go, and that ability not to be in control.
Because even when you're like floating in water, you're still like you think you're gonna.
It took me a good 10 minutes to adjust to what was happening, because I'm a person that I'm a Capricorn. I quite like to be in control. I like to have things that are going on, but then to completely relinquish that, to literally surrender it to this pod of saltwater magnesium thing, it was quite something. It really was.
Yeah, the weightlessness and the kind of surrendering. I think the most I've ever felt that was I had this really incredible experience with a band called Lone Taxidermists, who are just awesome. And I just got, I don't want to say tricked, but my friend was like, oh, I'm going to this night in London. I think you'd like it. And I was like, oh, cool. And he's like, what kind of music? He's like, it's Gabba. I was like, sweet. It wasn't Gabba. He was enticing me up back into London, because I left London, and I've got to say, like, I fell out of London, been in Bristol like 6 years, and I go back a bit, and I miss my friends there, but I do.
It's nice to fleet in now and then, isn't it?
Yeah, like I feel more when I sort of come into Bristol and see the sort of landmarks of Bristol. I feel more like I'm coming home.
Really?
Bristol, I do with London.
Well, even just last night on that kind of mound and the view, and I said that being on like a mound in London on Parliament Hill, you see cranes and buildings, and it's beautiful in its own way. But at the same time, here you see trees and you see green, you see buildings too. But
it's it's just got this. Oh, I've adjusted the headphones, and now I can hear my voice more. Was I doing it wrong? Sorry.
Your levels are fine.
So so I went to see this band, and I got told there was PVC latex. I was like, sweet, I can wear my dress that I got ages ago when I worked in a set shop. Around the back in the sort of stock bit, it was this like mint green space latex dress, which I was just like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So I was like, I can actually wear it somewhere. And I saw some friends who I hadn't seen in a while, and it was a really emotional time because it was after a 7-year breakup, and I was just in pieces. And then had this really cool night, and their sort of album's called Trifle, and the sort of basically they had these. I've now just. The arsonists, they were called, like, so these people dressed in these amazing inflatable kind of PVC costumes with these like sort of mouth dental stretcher kind of things, so you're drooling everywhere, and there's all this it's just like a lot of liquid. I mean, you just couldn't do it now. Liquids everywhere, and
skating around, slipping on saliva everywhere.
And
Bambi.
yeah, and I was dancing with them. I was like, this is just so great. And so everything get all these like kind of jelly balls and like cream, and basically the whole place turns into a big trifle with the music. And Natalie's incredible. Trifle. She does like just amazing costumes, amazing makeup, really amazing songs. Learn Tatsu, check them out, so good. So anyway, kind of a few weeks later or something, and I saw this post on Facebook being like, oh, we need more arsonists at this next gig, and I was like, oh my god,
that's
I want to
me.
go and do this. Yeah, and so eventually one time I've been doing stuff with them. They were doing a show at the Arnolfini, and I got,
is that in Bristol?
Yeah. I got painted in yellow latex body paint, wig, kind of gimp mask on, and then I got carried on. I think did this in another show before, but got carried on in this transparent plastic bag, and it was the weightlessness. And at that point, I was between houses. I was kind of really chaotic, didn't really have a base anywhere, and so to kind of relinquish my body to just being carried by someone in this bag, and then crowd surfed in the bag. Oh my god, it was like the highlight. Yeah, right. It was so good.
That sounds real liberating. Jeez.
But yeah, I know, just saying as well, like the fluids and liquid and stuff. Like, I think the thing that's most like during this whole pandemic situation, I just had a total meltdown in the lack of touch, not being able to touch, and it's like all of my artwork is based on touch. You know, like everyone with events and stuff like that. But it was kind of like, wow, this sort of 6-year journey I've been on, I've got to totally readjust when all I want to do right now is squeeze everyone in slime and be squeezed, and just like it's a very underrated thing, touch, isn't it? It's a very undervalued, I think, underappreciated thing, touch. And you know, it's obviously consensual, it has to be consensual, but just the kind of like just even minimal touch sometimes, just even someone, you know, touch on the arm, hug, and you feel it. You feel like the kind of, like you were saying yesterday with I guess they were the sort of masked electrical buzzing, but you do feel that, like, you know, vibration from
it just
people.
I think it also just it creates a connection, but also eases people too. Do you know what I mean? If you just every now and then just give a little touch on the shoulder or something, you have that kind of lessening of barriers and the ease. I think
being short, I get really good hugs.
Oh, like, yeah, really you get proper
hugs.
Right in the kind of like the belly region,
and I'll be really tense, and like his you know, and I think Zach, he's about 6 foot, and just have a hug, and it's like, oh, just instantly, because you're kind of in that sort of armpit area, so you're kind of cocooned, and and then my mate Charlie, she's tiny, and then I hug her, and I'm like, oh my god, this is what it's what I like on the other side. It's nice to do it, you know, sort of the other way around, but I do prefer being a little spoon, I think. You know.
I was even when like Dina and I were going out, I would love to be cuddled and spooned. It's great. It's real fun.
To be fair, I do like being
both.
bigger spoon. Yeah. I think just like kind of natural, I go into little spoon. But yeah, it's all about the hugs, man.
It is.
And kind of, it's funny because like I'm not like Me and my mum like hug, and we are very, you know, we're not overly kind of tactile. I think I'm more tactile with. I've got certain friends who, you know, my friend Evie, we're just like always kind of melt into each other. Like when we you know, were seeing each other during lockdown, and we couldn't hug. It was just what the fuck. Like,
I absolutely love because my family aren't the kind of huggiest, but then, you know, because I've been to Worley and had friends, and you know what I mean, all this sort of stuff, it's become a vital part of my life, and so I just love going into my like old family situation and just even when it's like, come on, let's have a hug.
But I think, like, you know, I meet people for the first time and I'll immediately go for the hug.
Yeah, always.
And I think sometimes I have to be like, oh wait, not everyone wants that.
Not everyone's a hugger.
Not everyone's a hugger. But then there's the awkward like handshake.
Do you know what?
thing, and then
the whole handshake thing. I mean, if someone offers their hand first, then I'll go for it. But generally, I'll like approach someone with my arms like wide, so they know what's coming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just, not like a little T-Rex. They don't know what's coming. Yeah.
Before we drift off, because I don't want to waste any more time, because you've got lots of stuff in the van. Do you want to talk a bit about Open Bionics, because that sounds fascinating.
Yeah. So this is another thing actually, which I find quite interesting. Like the same with the kind of, so I worked in a veterinary clinic, I worked in a set shop, and now I've done like pub stuff and things. So, and then I got this job at a
what amazing kind of experience you've had, like life experience you've had working with all these various.
Basically not knowing what you want to do does turn out quite well sometimes.
Try different things.
And it's all fed into each other. Like it definitely has. Like especially like with my work now, I've been learning a bit of CAD and doing some 3D printed stuff, which is cool. But yeah, like I found the advert. I was like looking for through a lot of jobs, and then I found that advert, I think on Indeed, and I was like, this is great. Like I'm going to send this to my friend Lisa, because I think she'd be wicked at this. Like she has her own fabrication company with her partner Mike called Lim. They're amazing, check them out. And I kind of wrote myself off and was like, oh no, I haven't got any of these. You needed like basic fabrication skills, kind of like casting, but it was a training position. So I was like, oh, you know what, I'll apply for it. And a friend of mine had recently been in a really horrific accident and had his leg amputated, and kind of in terms of my work, it was all kind of happening around the same time. And in terms of my kind of work, and I think my dissertation was about costume and kind of how we are always in costume, and what we kind of can present ourselves in. We can be anything that we want, really, and like we can kind of I'm not really putting my dissertation into it, but I can't, I've forgotten where I was right now. But like basically this kind of like autonomy to kind of make yourself how you want to be seen, and that we're always going to have these kind of judgments from people, but we can be in control of this, and how I think we should kind of treat our everyday clothes as costume. And so kind of looking at the kind of sort of abnormal body, I guess, and kind of what you can sort of do with that. And and I wrote a really good cover letter. No, I can't remember what I said in it now, but I think it got to a point that I was just like finding, kind of understanding more about myself, what I wanted to kind of look for, and kind of realizing qualities in myself that I could actually talk about in a positive way, like sell myself in like a positive way, rather than being like, oh no, I can't really do that sort of thing. So and then I applied for that. I got this job in a place called Exploradome, which was really cool. It's like inflatable planetarium around schools, and it all kind of coincided at the same time, because like buses, they all come at once, no jobs for ages, and then suddenly so I went to this interview with Open Bionics, and was just, it blew my mind. It were these 3D printed bionic arms that were primarily sort of aimed at kids, because a lot of the sort of prostheses available on the NHS, or just like in kind of from private companies. Obviously NHS would be free, but don't have the kind of grip that we do with our one. And if you are going to buy them privately, at like 30 to 50 grand. So a lot of kids, they're not going to be able to, consider how fast they're growing. It's just not feasible. You'd have to get a new one sort of every year or something, unless you're a millionaire. So the idea is that because they're 3D printed, they're more affordable, and then they can have like the sockets and things like adjust in and get like a new one as the the child grows. And kind of my area that I work on with the arms, so they're called the hero arm, and it's about it's empowering kids. It's not kind of being like this trying to make this sort of super realistic arm, because that doesn't happen. One of my colleagues, she was born without her front her left forearm, and so she had like all sorts of prostheses and like kind of clinician kind of experiences when she was younger that were horrible, that were like really traumatizing. And with Open Bionics, they're kind of removing that. It's like a really positive thing. And we had this party of like a lot of the kids who had received the arm as part of the Open Bionics Foundation, I think. And it was just like I think I cried like quite a lot of times that day. Like it was really overwhelmed. There was one girl who like literally got the arm like 2 days before. Can I say names? Probably can't say names. 2 days before.
Okay.
And she's an artist and she was drawing. She was 16, and within 2 days she was drawing these amazing, just with like a biro as well. Like who makes things look good with a biro? Like, and like just like I think like an eagle head, and just it was just really really cool. So like to be part of but so my role in it is a product technician. So we'll assemble, they'll print off and assemble the arms. So it all comes in like different sections. It's designed. Yeah, so it's really cool because like they're all made specifically for for each individual. So depending on what it's just for a forearm. So depending on what the residual limb is and kind of how long, they kind of make a cast or a scan of kind of what the arm would be like, and then that's how they build the Bionic one around that. So you've got like a socket, you've got 2 sockets inside, and so that will fit the residual limb in. It's got to be of a material that's like comfortable, to wear.
Mind-blowing stuff.
And then on the outside you've got the covers, and then the hands are they come in like 3 different sizes, so they're sort of made separate from the arm, but then they attach together. And and it's really cool. I remember like I think when I was training, so I was one of the first people, there was only 3 or 4 of us at that point, and we kind of did it in like a random order, and I was just like, I can't compute like what is this like. So we're doing like all the kind of like electronics within it, and then and kind of like all the sort of ligaments and hand, all the kind of different bits that add up to it. And then it was like, oh, that's how it all works, because I hadn't got to the arm build until quite sort of a bit further down. But yeah, it's mad.
Am I right in saying that they're trying to connect like feeling and touch and like pain and is that
they haven't got that with Open Bionics, but I think that is like what people are trying to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that is just that like to me that's like,
yeah, because I think you can get ones that are kind of more, because these
synapses, no, and then they can,
like because these ones work off like sensors that are inside the arm that then relate to muscle movement. So like we give off like an electrical field, and then that will.
Oh, maybe that's what. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. And yeah, it's mad. So what one of my favorite things about it is that if you just have it on and you're kind of doing unconscious, like when you're just talking and you just gesture, the hand will be moving in like a really sort of natural way that isn't, because it goes through different grips, and like so the way that you move it with your muscles, it will go through like a range of grips. So you've got to learn how to use it. It's not you can just pick it up and away you go. Like you're especially because she's never had an arm there. She hasn't got. I mean, they're muscles. I can't remember, they're like sort of these muscles, and like we don't really use them that much. So she had to do loads of like weight training and stuff with it. But because she's fine. She doesn't necessarily like want to use an arm all the time, and but it affects your posture and the kind of way you hold the body, like not having weight on that side. So it's very good for kind of creating the balance.
Yeah, okay.
And because that can just lead to all sorts of like postural problems and stuff. But yeah, so I mainly do the special covers. So they do, because obviously at Older Kids they've got like BB-8, like Star Wars ones, Frozen, Iron Man, and yeah, it's cool. Like the Deus Ex as well. Processes, you know, they can go wrong at the last, just at the end. You know,
right.
like you spent all this time, then super glue.
Gaffer tape.
My nemesis. But yeah, it's really cool, and it's really cool to sort of think, you know, I had a fine art degree.
That must be really annoying for actually super glue, because you like at the start it gets really like slimy, and then all of a sudden it just sticks, and then it's like, but you're not. Oh, it must be really frustrating.
It's just forms such a crust, but even if you don't think it's on you, and then suddenly it's everywhere.
It's
and
there,
no, I've been super aware of this.
And you've got to take a bit of skin off to get the flipping the glue off as well. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's really cool, and
that honestly sounds amazing. That is like amazing stuff.
Yeah, and like you know, I'm in production department there. You know, we all everyone's really sound, and it is a really nice environment to work in, and especially because I had to kick myself for about a year of just being like, but how like I was, you know, I'm not from a, you know, tech background, so but just kind of the processes I do are more, you know, like casting or sort of sanding and finishing and spray paint and stuff. Before
we go, can you tell the story of your first day there, when you cycled there? And there was that puddle.
Oh, that wasn't my first day, but it was one of the days. I don't know. So, it used to be off in Frenchy, and I was like, no, it's quite good. Like I cycled up a hill. It was like 30 minutes of cycling, really good. And you go through, I think I took like a long route because I wanted to go past the ducks. The ducks were my life in the morning. Got to know all of them, see all their little ducklings, and the heron. I love the heron in Eastville Park. So I was like, la. Cool, going over a bit towards, not like over the road, kind of towards Snuff Mills. And a little bridge bit. And I was like, ooh, that's quite a lot of water. I'll just carry on through this. And then as I know, my boots are like filled to the brim with this water, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, never mind. I'll sort something out, just wear my socks or something. And then I saw some mate, you know, I was like, oh, you better watch out for that massive puddle river down there. He was like, oh yeah, there's an even bigger one up there. I was like, oh yeah, sure. Anyway, go there and then cross the road. It was just like torrential rain. Lucky I was in my waterproof high vis. Luckily, I think my phone was in my bag rather than my pocket. And and then I was like, la. Saw the expanse of murky grey water, and just like just keep cycling through it. And then obviously couldn't see the curve, and then just hit the curve and just went poof, submerged, swimming. So I turned up at work just like soaking wet, and it was in like really, you know, and everything's so clean, and I was so unclean. And then my manager, bless him, took me to like the Sainsbury's, and I bought some like child's iridescent sandals that were like £4, you know, pretty good, kind of Romanesque, but like with some iridescence in them. They're still too big for me though, because I got tiny. I've got size 3/4 feet. Yeah, right. They're quite thin, so so that was so much fun. Really good wearing sandals around production department as well.
I bet that was a picture. That was great.
Yeah, no, that was a good day.
Where can people find you and Slime Time? Where can they find it?
I have an Instagram. Mm-hmm. Which is probably more pronounceable than my website, which I decided to name after a bioluminescent jellyfish who shares my name. So it's Aequorea Victoria, but it's hard to spell. Shouldn't have done it as a website.
Aequorea Victoria. Wow.
I'll put it in the.
We'll do.
It's a bioluminescent jellyfish, and I was like, this is just.
And it shares your name.
So my slug stuff is mainly on Instagram, which is slimetime _Slugtopia. Whatever the little hashy thing is. I don't know. At? Did you do the at? I'm not very good at.
Isn't at before
it's before.
The at before the hashtag?
No, there's no hashtag. Oh, okay. I think it's just like at.
I'm just finding stuff out. At Slugtopia. No.
_Slugtopia.
At slimetime _Slugtopia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll put links in.
Yeah, and then I think when with the Slugly thing, I'm going to have the spin-off as slimetime _Slugly, because then that would be more of like the clothing stuff, slug sets wear.
That is exciting.
So yeah,
in all your ventures, whatever you do, the van, just slug, everything, just best of luck, man. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it will be good.
It will be.
Yeah. Eventually I'd like to make a giant inflatable slug.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking maybe I could just make a slug hot air balloon, travel away.
I mean, in Bristol, there's a big scene of that, isn't there?
There is a big scene, yeah.
Would it work? It would work. Could it work? Yeah.
But you have to have them sort of down. Maybe their penises as the actual.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
For anyone listening or watching, search up the David Attenborough
Leopard Slug mating ritual
and look at the penis connection at the end, and then just think that could be a hot air balloon.
That could be a hot air balloon. Yeah. Amazing.
That was great.
Yeah, thanks.
I think the sun's on my side today. I got a lease of life, I feel okay. Need to call around, get them all out, jump in the car and get on our way. Cause there's love and the strength in numbers. They can try but they're never gonna run us down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. Fifth gear but they're never gonna race us down. I'm alive on a high, blue skies, there's nothing better. Hands up, we're on a ride, hold tight, we're laughing together. Ooh, we'll light it up, and ooh, we can't be stopped, and oh, can't hear us coming. Oh, we take off and keep it running. We take off and keep it running. Oh. Take a stop at the riverside, crack 'em open, pass around the light. Breathe it in and out, bring our guards down. Yeah, this is ours for the day and the night. Cause there's love and the strength in numbers. They can try but they're never gonna run us down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. Fifth gear but they're never gonna race us down.